Operation Management and Overview. Introduction. In this unit, you will learn about the aspect of management of production and service organization. For long, the term production has been associated only with the factory like situations where goods are produced in the physical sense. Factory has been defined as any premises in which persons are employees for the purpose of making, altering, repairing, ornamenting, finishing, cleaning, washing, breaking, demolishing, or adapting for sale any article. However, by generalizing the concept of production as the process through which goods and services are created, we can include both manufacturing and service organization within the purview of production management. Thus, the essential feature of the production function are to bring together people, machines, machines, any materials to provide goods or services, thereby satisfying the wants of people. Inclusion of service within the scope of production enables us to look at the problem of production management in a much wider perspective. This brings a number of seemingly non-manufacturing sectors of economy such as transport, energy, health, agriculture, warehousing, banking, etc. within the scope of production system. That is why the term production and operation management or operation management have been suggested by many to indicate the general application of the techniques of management of machines and materials. This broad concept of production is kept in mind throughout this book, although the apparent emphasis may be on techniques used in the context of manufacturing organization, but you should always be able to extend the apply these management techniques to all types of services organization as well. The value added process, perhaps a more general concept of operation instead of production, will better include both manufacturing as well as service organizations. Organizations, either in manufacturing or in service, are purposeful activities of an organization's. Operations functions is the heart of and indeed the very reason of for an organization to come into being. All operations can be said to add value to some operation object, thereby enhancing its usefulness. We may formally define an operation as a process of changing inputs into operation outputs and thereby adding value to some entity. This constitutes the primary function of virtually every organization. Now, let us consider how value can be added to an entity by performing an operation function. There are four major ways. A. Alter. This refers to a change in the form or state of the inputs. This change may be physical, as in manufacturing, or sensual or psychological, as such as feeling of comfort or satisfaction after getting cured from an illness. B. Transport. The entity get value added through transport because it may have more value to if located somewhere other than where it currently is. Entity may include people, goods, or garbage. C. Store. The value is enhanced if the entity is kept in the protected environment for some period of time, such as potatoes in cold storage or food grains in warehouses. D. Inspect. The value of an entity may be increased through an inspection as we better understand its properties can therefore take some more informed decision regarding this purchase, use, repair, etc. Thus, we can see that the value may be added to an entity through a number of different means. It may direct change in space, in time, or even just in our mental image of it. All these processes can be called operation. Thus, almost every organization, manufacturing, transportation, warehousing, healthcare, education, etc., come within the preview of operation management. Product and services. The output of an operation or production system may be in terms of end product physical goods such as automobiles or rendering a service such as in transportation, hospitals, educational institutions, cinema halls, etc. Rendering a service may involve physical goods or facilitating goods such as dentist making a set of false teeth while rendering dental care. Thus, services can be considered as bundle of benefits. Some may be tangible and others intangible, such as reducing waiting, courtiers, calls, convenient location, etc. And this may or may not be accompanied by facilitating goods. Based on this grouping, it is possible to segregate organizations producing goods or services or both. The conversion process. From the foregoing description, it should be clear that all production or operations functions are essentially a part of the conversion process, which transforms entities in shape, size, from location, space, time, and state. Hence, every organization can be considered essentially as a conversion system which converts input into outputs through the conversion process or operation. This aspect is further highlighted in the next section. Our next topic is system concepts in operation management. System concept in operation management. A system may be defined as a purposeful collection of people, objects, and procedures for operating within an environment. Thus, every organization can be represented as a system considering of interchanging interacting subsystems. The features of a system are that these have inputs and outputs. The basic process of the system convert the resources inputs into some useful form of outputs. Of course, depending upon the efficiency of the conversion process, we may have undesirable outputs too, such as pollution, scrap of wastage, rejections, loss of human life in hospital, etc. Using the generalized concept of production, which includes services, we can call such systems as production system. Inputs and outputs. Inputs to the system may be labor, material, equipment, machines, facilities, energy, information, and technology. Thus, machines and materials with the one constitute the main focus of this book are the resources inputs required by the production system. Other inputs to operating system can be customers in a bank, patients in a hospital, computers to public transport systems, files and papers to an office situations, and programs to be run in a computer center, etc. Similarly, outputs from a system may be in terms of finishing products, transported goods, delivered messages, cured patients, serviced customers, etc. Productivity of conversion process. Now we can come to the main question of how we know that we are managing our system operation well. This concerns the efficiency with which we are converting the inputs into outputs. This conversion efficiency can be roughly gauged by the ratio of output by input, a term which is generally known as productivity of the system. It is obviously the productivity can be improved by maximizing the desirable form of inputs from the system for a given level of resource inputs, or alternatively by requiring a minimum amount of resources inputs for a given level of output from the system. Thus, it can be said that productivity P is equal to output O by inputs I. Management of production system is essentially concerned with the management or productivity. An alternate way of looking at the concept of productivity is to look at the amount of waste generated in the system. If waste is unnecessary input and undesirable output from a system, then productivity can be improved by reducing wastefulness or wastivity of the system. Thus, a system way to look at the productivity improvement is to attack wastage of all types of resources, materials, labors, capacity of machines, times, space, capital, etc. If you look a bit deeper into what is happening inside the conversion system, you could find only two manually exclusive things happening. Either the resources are being processed operation, taking it nearer to the completion stage, or nothing useful is happening to the resources inputs. For example, material may be waiting in the form of inventory in stores, waiting to be loaded on the machines. Job orders may be waiting to be processed in a hospital, or patients may be waiting to be attended to, etc. All these forms of waiting, delays in inventories are non-productive events, and any drive to improve productivity must aim at eliminating or at least reducing such idle time, waiting, etc. Thus, if you wish to improve your system operations, try to attack such non-productive elements in the hospital throughout time of the entity in the system. Manufacturing and service system. As stated earlier, the generalized model of production system includes both manufacturing system as well as service system. Examples of manufacturing systems are manufacturing for fertilizers, cement, coal, textiles, steels, automobiles, machine tools, blood televisions, furnitures, etc. Examples of service system includes a post office, bank, hospital, municipal corporation, transport organization, university, supply office, telephone exchange, etc. Although basic structure of service system is amenable to same analysis as manufacturing system, service and system do have some silent features making the management of such system slightly more difficult. Some of these characteristics are: A. Output from the system is non-inventoriable. You cannot generally produce to stock. B. Demand for the service is variable. C. Operations may be labor intensive. D. Location of service operations is dictated by location of users. Our next topic is objectives in operations management. Topic: Objectives in operation management. Every system or organization has a purpose, certain objectives and goals to achieve. Since the objective of an organization have hierarchical structure, sub-goals lead to accomplishment of a goals which contribute to the achievement of objectives and eventually the purpose or mission of an organization. It is very important that this objective should be unambiguously identified, properly structured, and explicitly stated. In general terms, the objective of an organization may be produce the goods or services in required quantities and of qualities as per schedule and at minimum cost. Thus, quantity, quality, and time schedule are the objectives at determine the extent of customer satisfaction. If an organization can provide for this at a minimum cost, then the value of goods created on services rendered enhanced, and that is the only way to remain competitive. The various objectives can be grouped as performance objectives as and cost objectives. Performance objectives. The performance objectives REMI includes: A. Efficiency or productivity as output per unit of input. B. Effectiveness, if concerned whether the right set of outputs is being produced. Where efficiency may refers to doing things right, effectiveness may mean doing the right things. C. Quality. Quality is the extent to which the product or services satisfies the customer needs. The output has to conform to quality specification laid down before it can be accepted. D. Lead time. Manufacturing lead time or throughput time is the time elapsed in the conversion process. Minimization of idle time, delayed waiting, etc., will reduce throughout time. E. Capacity utilization, percentage utilization of manpower, machines, etc. F. Flexibility. If the conversion process has the flexibility of producing a combination of outputs, it is possible to satisfy a variety of customer needs. Cost objectives. Attaining high degree of customer satisfaction on performance front must be coupled with lower cost of producing the goods or rendering a service. Thus, cost minimization is an important system objectives. Cost can be explicit, visible, or implicit, hidden, or invisible. This could be tangible in economic terms or intangible in social cost terms, such as delayed suppliers, customers' complaints, etc. While managing production system, we must consider both the visible and invisible, tangible and intangible cost. Some example of this cost are: A. Explicit visible cost. First point is material cost, next is direct and indirect labor cost, next is scrap rework cost, and next is maintenance cost. B. Implicit, invisible or hidden cost. First point is cost of carrying inventory, next is cost of stock out, shortage, backlogging, lost sales, etc. Third is cost of delayed deliveries. Fourth is next is cost of material handling. Next is cost of inspection, and next is cost of grievances, dissatisfaction, cost of downtime cost, and next is opportunity cost. For the purpose of managerial decision making, we should consider the total relevant system cost, including visible and invisible. A longer term cost implication rather than only short term will help in arriving at better decisions. Our next topic is operations management decisions. Operation management decisions. Operation management is essentially a function concerning decision making with operation respects to a production operation system so as to render the necessary customer satisfaction at lowest cost. The process of management. Essentially, management can be considered as a process of planning, organizing, coordinating, and control. There are different ways in which production management functions can be grouped for a sake of discussion. For instance, all the decisions concerning the production system could be delivered as A. Periodic decisions, which include selection, design, and updating of resources, structures, system, and procedures. B. Continual decisions, which are required in day to day operations and control of production systems. Strategic long term decisions. A decision is said to be strategic if it has a long term impact, influence a larger part of the system, and is difficult to undo once implemented. These decisions in the context of production system are essentially those which deals with the design and planning long range of immediate range aspects. Some example of these decisions are: A. Product selection and design. What products or services are to be offered constitute a crucial decisions. A wrong choice of production or poor decision design of the product may render our system operations ineffective and non-competitive. A careful evaluation of the product service alternatives or the on the multiple objectives basis can help in choosing right product. Yes. Techniques of value engineering can be useful in creating a good design which does not incorporate unnecessarily feature and can attain the intended function at the lowest cost. B. Process selection and planning. Choose optimal based under the circumstances and the purpose. Process of conversion system important decisions concerning choice of technology, equipment, and machines. Process planning pertains to careful detailing of processes of resource conversion required and their consequence. Including such decisions can such decisions are the aspects of mechanism and automation. C. Facilitating location. It concerns decision regarding location of production system or its facility. A poor location may spell operating disadvantages for all times to come. Therefore, it is important to choose a right location which all minimize total delivered to customers cost, production and distribution cost, or by virtue of location. Evidently, such decisions call for evaluation of location alternatives against multiplicity of relevant factors, considering their relative importance for the system under consideration. D. Facilities layout and material handling. Facilities layout planning problems are concerned with the relative location of one department activity center and with another in order to facilitate material flow, reduce handling cost, delays, and congestion, provide good housekeeping facilities, facilitate coordination, etc. A detailed layout plan gives X blueprint of how actual factors of production are to be integrated. The types of layout will depend upon tile nature of production system. Most of the concept used in layout planning models are based on the importance of locating departments close to each other in order to minimize the cost of materials handling. Proper choice of the material handling equipment such as forklift, truck, conveyors, etc. is the related decision in layout planning. There are large number of computers packages developed such as craft, computerized relative allocation of facilities techniques, core lab, computerized relationship layout planning, etc. to help the layout planning for process based layouts. Balancing the production or assembly line and line design, including provision of interstate storage capacity, are some relevant issue in the product based layouts. Newer technologies, particularly computer based, are significantly altering the traditional concept of the layout planning. More recently, the concept in group technology GT, cellular manufacturing system CMS, and flexible manufacturing system FMS have influenced the layout planning and material handling policies significantly. E. Capacity planning. It concerns the acquisition of productive resources. Capacity may be considered as the maximum available amount of output of the conversion process over some specified time span. Capacity planning may be over short term as well as a long term basis. In service system, the concept of capacity and hence capacity planning is a bit more difficult problem. Long term capacity planning includes expansion and contraction of major facilities required in conversion process, determination of economics and of multiple shift operations, etc. Break-even analysis is a valuable tool for capacity planning. Other techniques like learning curves, linear programming, and decision tree are also useful tools in capacity planning. The above mentioned five decisions areas will be described in details in the unit immediately following this one. Operational or short term decisions. Operational level decisions deal with the short term planning and control problem. Such of these are Some of these are: A. Production planning, scheduling, and control. In operation scheduling, we wish to determine the optimal schedule and sequence of operations, economic batches, quantity, machines assignment, and dispatching priorities. And for sequencing, production control is a complementary activities to production planning and involves follow-up of the production plans. B. Inventory planning and control. These problems deal with the determination of the optimal inventory levels at raw materials in process and finished good stages of a production. Much to order. When order are two typical decisions involving inventories. Materials require planning, MRP. Materials requirement planning, MRP, is an important upcoming concept in such a situation. C. Quality assurance. Quality is an important aspect of production system, and we must ensure that whatever production or services is produced in satisfied the quality requirement of the customers at lowest cost. This may be termed as quality assurance, setting standards of quality control and quality of products. Processes are some of the aspects of quality assurance. Value engineering consideration are related issues in quality assurance. D. Work and job design. These are problems concerning design of work methods, system and procedures, method involvement, elimination of avoidable delays, work measurement, workplace layout, ergonomic consideration in job design, work and job restructuring, job enlargement, etc. Design and operation of wage incentives is an associated problem area. E. Maintenance and replacement. This includes decision regarding optimal policies for preventive, schedule, and breakdown maintenance of the machines. Machine repair policies and replacement decisions. Maintenance of manpower scheduling and sequencing of repair jobs, preventing replacement and condition monitoring of the equipment and machines are other important decisions involving equipment maintenance. Maintenance is extremely crucial problem area, particularly for a developing economy such as ours, because it is only through a very effective maintenance management we can improve capacity utilization and keep our plant and machinery productive and available for use. F. Cost reduction and control. For an ongoing production system, the role of cost reduction is prominent because through effective control of total cost of production, we can offer more competitive products and services. Cost avoidance and cost reduction can be achieved through various productivity techniques. Value engineering is a prominent technique available for the cost reduction. Concepts like standard costing and budgetary control help in monitoring and controlling the cost of labor, material, etc., and suggest appropriate follow-up actions to keep this cost within limit. Monitoring and feedback control. In every system, the actual accomplishment of objectives may not be planned for various reasons. It is therefore very important to monitor the actual performance by measuring the actual output or some performance indicators. Basic elements of monitoring and feedback control, be it quality control of quality, time, inventory, or cost are: 1. Established standard of performance or outputs. 2nd. Measure actual performance. 3rd. Compare the difference between the actual and planned. 4th. Take appropriate remedial actions by changing inputs, revising plans, changing priorities, expediting the progress, etc. Design of an appropriate feedback control system is therefore vital for all production operations management problems. Control is complementary to planning. Without monitoring and control, planning may not be effective. Without planning, control may not be effective. Thus, planning and control are two sides of the same coin. In the design of control system, we should consider cost benefit aspects of control in mind. If cost of control exceeds this its benefits, it becomes counterproductive. Those selective controls can be exercised employing the accepting principles or Pareto's laws. More effective controls could be self control or cybernetic or steering control, but it may be difficult to design such controls in large and complex organizations. Need for updating and review of decisions. When we plan or design our production system, the process of planning assumes certain external and internal environment on work. In a dynamic system, there may be changes in the environmental parameters which make our previous decisions out of date and irrelevant. In such situations, we need to review, revise, or update our decisions. For example, we may switch over a group technology layout from existing process types. We may add or delete our product lines. We may revise the product design in the light of new types of materials that are developed or on the basis of feedbacks from customers, etc. It is good practice to incorporate periodic review and updating as the part of our system so that our decisions are irrelevant to the prevailing circumstances and are compatible with the external environment. Thus, we should be able to revive all the previously stated decisions should be contingency of the situations so demand. Our next topic is types of production systems. Types of production system. Looking from the different point of view, the entire problem of production operations management can be visualized as that of managing the material flow into, through, and out of the production system. If we try to detail out the flow characteristics inside the conversion system, we shall find out that some systems have very smooth and streamlined flow. Some others may have more complex flow characteristics. In general, the more complex the flow characteristics inside the system, the most difficult it becomes to manage the system. On the basis of material flow characteristics, the production system can be grouped into following four categories: A. Mass production or flow line production system. B. Batch production system. C. Job shop. And D. Unit manufacturers of product. Projects. The main focus of production management problem will therefore depend upon the types of system. Problems which are very crucial for mass production may not be relevant for batch production and vice versa. It is therefore very important to identify the type of systems we are managing and then focus on main problem of planning and control relevant to that system. A brief description of these problems are given in the following subsections. Mass production or flow line production systems. These systems have simplest flow characteristics constituting straight line flow. Facilities are arranged according to sequence of operation where the output of one stage becomes input to the next stage. The whole system is cascaded. Major production management system in mass production system are balancing of producing assembly lines, machines maintenance and raw material supply. In a production line consists of the series of production centers. If workload is unbalanced, then the most bottlenecked production stage will govern the whole output rate. This will result in increased throughput time and poor capacity utilization, thus contributing to low productivity. Hence, a production or assembly line should be designed such that it works is as evenly balanced as possible. Maintenance becomes important because if any production stage is under breakdown, it will block the whole line unless quickly restored back into operational effectiveness. Raw material to first stage is important to avoid shortage and subsequent starvation of the whole line. There are methods and techniques available to attend to the above mentioned problems area. Some of these will be discussed in the latter unit or operation planning and control aspects of mass production system. Next is batch production system. If a variety of products are made with relatively small volume of production, it may be not possible to lay out a separate lines of each product. In such cases, batch production concept is adopted when a product is made in a certain quantity called as batch quantity on the machine, and after a while it is discontinued and another product is scheduled in a certain batch quantity. Thus various products complete for the share of a machine. The machines are for general purposes. Materials flow in such systems is more complex than in mass production system. Accordingly, the planning and control aspects are relatively more difficult. Some prominent problems are areas are a. Optimal layout planning for the production system. B. Aggregate production planning to absorb demand fluctuations emotionally, economically. C. Machine job allocation problem. D. Determination of economic batch quantity, and E. Scheduling and sequencing of operations. Production control assumes significance in such system as the status of progress of various products must be chased up and effectively monitored. Job shop. A job shop does not have its own standard product but accept whatever customer orders come in. Thus, it is essentially a group of facilities and processes a wide variety of customers' order in varying batch sizes. Each order may be a new order requiring process planning, tooling, and sequencing. Material flow in job shop like situation is quite complex. A dynamic job shop where even customers' orders comes in a random fashion is very difficult system to analyze, at least from the point of view of production, planning and control. The main problem is dispatching priority rules to determine the sequence in which various waiting jobs orders are to be processed on manufacturing facilities. For example, a production manager may sequence the job orders on the basis of short processing time (SPT) rules. The job required smallest operation time gets the top most priority in order scheduling. From an analytical point of view, a job shop can be treated as a network of queues, and the waiting lines models or situations techniques can be used to analyze it. You need manufacture or project. Suppose we want to make a ship. Obviously, due to large size of the product, the entire concept of material flow should change. In the previous three cases, the manpower and facilities were fixed, and product or material was moving from place to place. Here, product remains fixed, and manpower facilities put work on it some chosen sequence. Since such products are not made in large number and have long throughput time, we can treat each product as a project. We can treat each product as a project. Thus, project planning, scheduling, and monitoring techniques based on the network model such as PORT CPM can be used in planning and control of such production systems. Our next topic is management of materials in production systems. Management of materials in production system. As mentioned previously, problems of production management essentially concern management of materials flow into, through, and out of the system. This makes materials management a vital subject since material constitutes are extremely important and costly resources to the production system, and improvement in materials productivity will lead to overall improvement in system performance and cost reduction. Role of material management. Materials in Indian context constitute more than half the total cost of production in most industries and projects. In some industries, 60 to 70% of total production cost is due to materials. This makes materials management the biggest single area having tremendous potential for cost reduction. A well coordination materials management program may lead to 15 to 20% cost reduction. If inventories are taken as an index of material management effectiveness, then there is so much that can be done to cut inventories in Indian industries. If inventories is viewed as usable but idle resource, then we can also call it unnecessary evil. Our material planning system should be such that we are able to ensure adequate supply of materials to meet anticipate demand pattern with the minimum amount of capital blocked in inventories in non-productive manner. Needs for integrated approach to material management. To be most effective, our desire to maximize material productivity must aim at getting most out of every rupees invested in materials. This calls for a well coordinated and integrated approach towards various problems areas involving decisions making and respects to materials. It can be seen, for examples, that the inventory in the system can be lessened by reducing unnecessary uncertainties in demands and supply, by reducing procurement lead time, by reducing excessive materials varieties throughout standardization, codification, and various reduction programs. Thus, development of reliable sources of supplies to have just-in-time supply will reduce inventories substantially. Other important areas to improve efficiency on materials management front are: A. Value analysis, purchase price analysis. In this, we want to put right kind of materials through competitive price to reduce the material bill. Value analysis aim at getting the required function performed at minimize cost, and therefore value analysis techniques has the major role in material related cost reduction. B. Materials handling. Materials handling provides place, location, utility only. Otherwise, it does not add to functional or aesthetic values to materials, but is an element of cost. Thus, our aim should be to design system of production and storage to minimize the cost associated with the movement and handling of materials. C. Inventory control. How we try to plan our procurement actions so that we can get the demand satisfied reasonably well without having to stock in inventory to such materials. This is very well discussed problem area in literature on materials management. D. Store management. Store functions looks after physical custody of materials by proper planning of layout, storage materials and issue policies. We can ensure faster services so that item demanded by production can be supplied without delay. Avoidance of pilferage, wastage and storage losses are also important aspects of storage management. E. Waste management. Materials waste must be minimized if not eliminated. Waste can also be considered as a barometer of material productivity. If material waste is minimum, productivity of material improves. And integrated approaches to material management must look at the above mentioned problem area in the coordinated manner with a view of maximize material management effectiveness. Our next topic is concepts in systems life cycle. Concepts of system life cycle. The life cycle concept or worm to tomb concept draws analogy from living organism. It assumes that every system product has a definite life cycle and it passes through growth, maturity, saturation, decline phases. Similar pattern could exist for an entire production system. Life cycle concept enables us to understand various decisions and their interdependence in a better perspective. For example, if some of the strategic decisions like product selections or plant location which are made at the early stages of system life cycle are wrong, then this would continue to influence day-to-day operations planning and control decisions adversely, and no amount of day-to-day diverse effectiveness will be able to undo the damage done by the poor decisions at initial stage of life cycle. This concept also enables us to be alert to the external environment and start phasing out the dying product and substitute it with a new product well in time so that continued survival of the organization can be planned. Figure 5 shows new introduction product well in time can cause long-term survival of the organization even if individual product follow life cycle pattern. Lifespan of a product may vary from few months such as fashion goods to few decades. Stages in life cycle. Some of the initial decisions like product selection, technology selection, location and layout selection of the strategic importance once the system has achieved a steady state most ongoing organization we work in are probably at that stage then most problems of operation management are of tactical or operational nature. Short term planning and control and cost reduction strategies are the main focus at the stage. The steady state experiences minor perturbations due to external and internal factors. Moderate level changes can be accommodated by updating and revising of the previous decisions when the system cannot adjust to even major revisions due to extreme changes in external environment, then the system must come to end through liquidation or through sale or merger. Termination or phasing out of operation may be sometimes deliberate. Life cycle costing, a very important concept in costing and emerging in recent years that of life cycle costing. It says that when we evaluate the cost implications of our decisions, we should not consider the short term cost alone but the entire cost during the life cycle. The life cycle of the system and equipment. Thus, long term cost repercussion must be examined rather than immediate short term alone. Such a concept may change our perspective and seemingly good decisions may not remain attractive in life cycle costs or computed. For example, while purchasing a machine, a short term cost may mean only initial purchase price and we may be tempted to buy a cheaper equipment or machine. It may, however, require too much repair, maintenance, and operating expenses if all these costs, including initial costs, are compared during the life cycle of the machine. We may find that an expensive machine with very little maintenance, repair, and operating cost may be preferred alternative are initially expensive but costly to maintain a machine. Thus, while making important decisions regarding design and planning aspects of production by STEMs, we should consider life cycle cost. This could be converted to present values by discounted cash flow techniques accounting for the time value of money. Our next topic is role of scientific methods in operations management. Role of scientific methods in operation management. Methods and techniques of scientific management have tremendous role to play in helping us to make rational and logical decisions in the context of production and operation management. Through scientific method, tools and techniques of industrial engineering and operations research along with behavioral science, we can look at all facets of the problems and evaluate the consequences of our actions before arriving at a decision. These techniques thus reinforce the subjective or intuitive judgment and contribute to better management. The role of industrial engineering. Indian Institution of Industrial Engineering has adopted the following definition of industrial engineering. Industrial engineering is concerned with the design, improvement, and installation of integrated system of main materials and equipment. It draws upon specialized knowledge and skilled in mathematical, physical, and social sciences together with the principles and methods of engineering analysis and design to specify, predict, and evaluate the result to be obtained from such system. It can therefore to be seen that industrial engineers are designers of management system and individual engineering approach indicates various approaches such as operation research, system analysis, behavioral science and etc. towards the integrated design of organization. In this book, many industrial engineering techniques will be used in various units which helps us in better management of production system. The role of models. Models are representation of a system with the view of explain certain aspects of the system's behavior. Generally, a mathematical model is preferred in decision making because it tries to explain systems objectives and functions in terms of decision variable subject to our control as well as non-controllable parameters due to environment or resource containers, constraints, etc. Thus, a simplified form of model is E is equal to fxj yi, where E is equal to measure of effectiveness or effective objective function. Xj is controllable decision variable, j is equal to 1 or n 1 to n. Yj non-controllable parameter where I is equal to 1 to m. Thus, the model provides a cause effect relationship so that we can evaluate our alternative courses of action on the basis of our objective and choose an optimal based under the circumstances strategy to maximize our effectiveness. Thus, model provides the valuable tools to compare our option and thus improve the quality of decisions and provide us to better insights into our decision process. However, it must be noted that models are a means to achieve an end, better decision, and not an end to in itself. We must choose a simple, valid, and logical model of decision situation. A large number of model based techniques have been developed in the subject called operation research, which help in mathematical conceptualization of many decision making problems relevant to production operation management. Some very versatile and powerful techniques like linear programming, queuing theory, and simulating have been applied extensively to study various problems areas in production management. Some of these will be described through brief in appropriate unit in this book. The role of computers. In a large sized problem, computers becomes a very efficient tool in problem solving and evaluating of alternatives. A big size linear programming or simulation problems can be efficiently solved and computers. Due to fast developments in computing facilities and applications software, many OR models can be implemented via computers. Computers also have tremendous role in management information system to provide useful, relevant and timely information for planning, monitoring and control of production systems, so thus providing decision support through information. The role of behavioral science, since people are integral part of our production system, understanding of human behavior is very important so that managers can evaluate the consequences of their action on human relations, moral motivations, and productivity. Supervisor's relationship with his subordinates, organization structure, individual and group behavior, work habits and attitudes, incentives, participations, and decision makings, performance appraisal system have impact on work morale and motivations. Behavioral science provides us some insights on these aspects and therefore has a role to play in production and operations management. Our next topic is brief history of operations management. Brief history of operations management. Historically speaking, the field of operation management had evolved in a very short span of time. Its roots, however, go back to the concept of division of labor advocated by Adam Smith in his book The Wealth of Nations in 1776. In 1832, Charles Babbage, a mathematician, extended Smith's work by recommendation the use of scientific methods for analyzing factory problems. However, the era of scientific management, as it's now known, started with the work of F. W. Tyler in 1878, who subsequently came to the recognized as the father of scientific management. Tyler is credited with recognizing the potential improvement to be gained from analyzing the work content of a job and designing the job for maximum efficiency. His experiments conducted on the shop floor without about significant and rapid increases in productivity. He explained the four principles of scientific management in the following way. A. Development of a science for each element of a man's work, thereby replacing the old rule of thumb method. B. Selection of the best workers for each task and then training the and developing the workman on individual basis. C. Striving for cooperation between management and the workers to stimulate simultaneously obtain both maximum production and high worker wages. D. Dividing the work between management and workers so that each is working on what they are most proficient in doing. Tyler described his management philosophy in a book, The Principles of Scientific Management, published in 1911. This event, more than any others, can be considered as the beginning of the field of operation management. The colleagues, contemporaries, and followers of Tyler were many and included the following peoples. Frank Gilbert and his wife Lillian Gilbert are recognized for their contributions to motion study. Gilbert developed the concept of thermalics and chronocyclographs for motion study in 1911. Lillian Gilbert wrote her book The Psychology of Management, which was one of the earliest works concerning the human factor in organization. In 1931 3, Henry Ford developed the concept of mass production and arranged workstation into an assembly line with moving belt. In 1913, also Henry Gantt made his best known contribution in charting the production schedules using a visual diagrammatically tool which is popularly known as Gantt chart and is effective practical tool even today. In 1913, Harrington Emerson applies Tyler ideas to develop organization structure and suggested the use of experts in organization to improve efficiency. Wilson developed the concept of economic order quantity EOQ in 1928, which is still recognized as the classical work in the scientific analysis of inventory system, and work of subsequent researchers were essentially further refinements of Wilson's lot size formula. In 1931, F. H. Dodge, H. G. Roming, and W. Hart developed the concept of sampling inspection and published statistical tables. Earlier in 1924, W. Hart pioneered the concept of statistical quality control and developed control chart of the monitoring the quality of production processes. In 1933, Alton Mayo conducted his famous experiments at Western Electric's Hawthorne plant, looking into human and social aspects of work. This paved the way for the behavioral schools of management. Myers felt that scientific management often emphasized technical skills at the expenses of adaptive skills. Some other notable development in these lines includes the concept of managerial grid developed by the Robert Blake and Maslow hierarchy of needs and Douglas McGregor theory X and theory Y in management. In 1937, LHC Trippett developed the concept of work sampling to gauge the level of machine and manpower utilization and for setting work standards. In and around 1950, two major developments that influenced operation management were the emergence of techniques of operation research beyond military contexts, and developments in engineering offered by L.D. Miles. The OR is application of scientific methods to study and devise solution and managerial problems in decision making. Usually mathematical models and the system approaches OR has helped solve resource allocation, scheduling, processing, inventory, location, layout, and control problems. Techniques of value engineering helps in efficiently identifying the unnecessary cost so that products and systems could perform their functions at minimum costs. Development in computers led to computerized applications of industrial engineering and OR techniques to production management problems. Development in MIS and DSS decision support system provided a further flip to the developments in operations management. In 1958, the concept of CPM and PERT were developed for analysis of large projects, and since then a number of network-based techniques of project management have been developed. In the late 1950s, scholars and researchers in the field began to generalize the problem and techniques of manufacturing management to another production management such as petroleum, chemical and other processes industries, leading to the emergence of the concept of production management as a functional management discipline. In the late 1960s, the concept of operation management expanded to include the service sectors as well. Only recently, the service sectors has received as much attention as production sectors from the point of view of scientific management of systems operation. System approaches taking a holistic, integrated looks at the problem of operating a system emerged in the 1970s, which considered the interplay of various subsystems in organizations. Development in the computer simulations of integrated productions inventory systems are some of the current thrust in modeling of productions management problems. In the more recent past, there have been a major thrust on the adoption of Japanese management techniques like the just-in-time system or Kanban system for production scheduling and inventory control, and the concept of quality circles (QC). These concepts have apparently done well in Japan context, but should be continuously adopted in other situations only if external work environment and work ethos make them appropriate elsewhere too. Others notable developments in recent past have been group technology (GT), the cellular manufacturing system (CMS), flexible manufacturing system (FMS), computer-aided design manufacturing CAD or CAM, etc. Thus, future of operations management looks bright. Our next topic is Unit Summary of Operations Management and Overview. Summary of Operation Management Overview. In this unit has attempt to give a general overview of operation management. A system approach treating each operation as a value addition process has been described. The concept of operation management includes both the production of goods as well as service. Operation has as the conversion process have been identified to be central functions of virtually every organization. Value is primarily added to entities by changing them directly in space, in times, or in our minds. The important characteristics of conversion process have been identified as its efficiency, effectiveness, quality, lead times, capacity, and flexibility. Objective of operations management may be in terms of customer satisfaction or performance objectives as well as cost objectives. Various decision areas have been categorized as strategic or operational decisions, periodic or continual decisions, and various problems areas have been listed under each group. Management of production systems depends upon the structure of the systems and complexity of material flows, and accordingly the production system can be classified as mass, batch, job shop, and project production system. Characteristics of each of these systems together with the relevant production management problems have been highlighted. Role of managerial management becomes crucial as material are responsible for more than half the total cost of production system. An integrated approaches involving coordinated effort to attempt various problems of materials management is emphasized. Life cycle approaches to product and system provides a good insights into the key decision at every stage, and concept of life cycle costing provides new perspectives to decision making. Role of scientific techniques of industrial engineering operation research together with behavioral science and computers is outlined. A brief unit wise overview of the plan of the book is given so that the relevant of various units to the common theme of the book can be linked. Finally, a brief historical profile of the subject from the era of Tyler to modern times, including modern Japanese management techniques, provide an synoptic view of the growth and development of the subject.